say thank you.
We're dying, we're dying, we're dying, we're dying. We're dying, we're dying, welcome to episode 2 of the Good Morning We're Dying podcast. I am Alex Bozanovic. I'm here with my friend
Sam Rager.
And we've already recorded about a minute of this, and then I realized I didn't hit record on the audio, so we're doing that over. And also, we had some autofocus issues on the first episode. I think I solved that, but we really won't know until this is done. So, sorry. I am not going to test it ahead of time because this is a free show, and so you guys are just going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to grow as we grow technologically. You're going to have to grow as an audience with us.
You can see progress and evolution.
Exactly. You'll watch us grow and mature as a podcast.
I think we've come a long way so far.
Yeah. We actually have episodes like really recording now, so I think we're kind of killing it at the moment. Let me just make sure that the video's going. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a few weeks since we recorded the first episode. Since we haven't like officially started posting these yet, we can take our time with it. It's gonna be a problem once we are actually posting these, because it's probably gonna be a lot of Zoom episodes. But
a lot of Zoom with the moose in the background.
we'll have the deer.
The deer, yes.
In the Zoom call as well. It'll have its own camera focused on it.
I'm a bad Michigander for not knowing that. Look at how tiny that moose is.
Is that a baby moose? Is that a calf? You know, they have mini horses. It's a mini moose.
I'll go to the UP. They have their moose or their meat.
Their meese.
Their meese are so big.
Oh, that's so funny. It is weird though. Why aren't they called meese? Like we call the plural for goose is geese. It's the same word. One letter's different. Why isn't it meese?
I feel like it's disrespectful, but I don't know to which group.
Oh man, whatever.
We both had quite a bit of traveling.
Yes, we were both kind of all over the place for a little while.
Alex had the Boulder Comedy Festival.
Boulder Comedy Festival, yes, that is right. Which was a lot of fun. I was gonna go with a Southwest flight, which would have been cheaper, but there was a layover, I think, in like North Dakota, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I had a layover on the way to Portland, in Chicago for like 3 hours, and I was like, I don't even want to be here for 3 hours. What am I gonna do in North Dakota? You know? So I was just like, no. So I ended up getting a Delta flight, and it was like $100 more expensive, and it was just a direct flight to Denver, and then I had to get to Boulder after that.
It's safer because most of the plane crashes happen during takeoffs and landings. So
I was 50% safer.
Did you rent a car to get there, or did you take an Uber?
No, my friend Katie Bowman, Denver comedian, she came and picked me up. I took the train into Denver, and then she picked me up from the station. We went and had lunch, and then she took me to Boulder.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And she recently had an album come out, right?
Yeah, she recently released an album, Neurodivergent Nightmare, I think it was called.
Oh,
I should probably look that up. We'll link to it. When this episode comes out, we'll link to it in the comments, and you can go check that out. It's going to be a very funny album. Katie is very funny.
And is Katie from Boulder or Denver?
She's a Denver comic. She's originally from Fort Worth, Texas, I believe. But she is a Denver comic now, yeah.
And did she hang out at the festival too? Is she part of the festival?
No, she wasn't in the festival. She did it like the first year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She had stuff going on. It was like her boyfriend's birthday, and she was doing like a whole surprise party for him and stuff like that. So yeah.
Sweet. Did you share a room with anyone, or did you get her in a hotel room?
So all right. The option to crash with someone was there, and I was being an old man, and I was like, I want my own space. I'll find a hotel, you know. And so I put it off until the last minute, and the cheapest hotel that I could find in Boulder was like $250 a night, and I was like, God damn it. So unless I wanted to drive 45 minutes every day, I was gonna have to drop $250 a night. So I started looking for Airbnbs, and to get an entire thing to yourself was not much cheaper than the hotel. So I ended up just getting a room in someone's home. And like, you know, it was an older woman, and she was very nice, and you know, her home was very nice. But it's always very uncomfortable when you're staying at an Airbnb and like the homeowner is there with you.
Yes.
It's like I'm paying money to stay here, but I at the same time feel like a guest.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like I have to just like, you know, like be on, you know, good behavior. Like I can't.
Yeah, on eggshells, like
Yeah,
walking on
you know,
eggshells.
I'm like just very worried about like leaving my glass of water out, or you know, something. You know, so I don't know. It was fine.
Did she make conversation?
Yeah, we talked a lot. I mean, she was great. You know, she was very nice. She gave me a review, and I have been forgetting to go leave her a review since I got back, which is like 3 weeks ago now, I think. So I have to do that. I have to get on there and give her a review. But yeah, and I stayed there. It wasn't like right by where everything was happening. There was another Airbnb that was like very close, but in the description they said that they don't use their air conditioning at night. And so I was like, ugh, I don't know if I want it. So I went with the one that I went with instead, and like she used her air conditioning, I'll say that. But just barely. So like I said, she was very nice, and her home was very nice and everything. But given that I was sweating anyway, I would have rather been closer to everything than having to like take an Uber all the way down like every day, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's wild how expensive that is.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Were there any other events happening, or did they just find out about the festival and jack it up?
I think it's just Boulder. I think Boulder is just expensive like that, which is wild because like the school's not even in session.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that the prices would be lower, or if that is the low price, then I don't even want to see what it's like when school is in session.
Yeah,
like that would be crazy if these are their low prices right now. That's insane.
Did you see any of the prairie dogs?
No, I didn't see any animals. Like I said, I stayed away from the wildlife.
You're missing out.
No, I listen. I am good missing a prairie dog if that means my risk of having to face a mountain lion is 0. If the risk of having to defend myself against a giant cat gets reduced to nothing, I'm going to take that path.
Did any of the comics who went on the hike come across mountain lions?
No. I was told that the mountain lions are mostly like way up in the trails, like higher up into the mountains. Like they don't really come down that often. But I'm just like I'm good. I don't. Cats are curious. I don't. One might be down here today just because I'm here. So I was just like I'll stay down here with the noise.
How many comics were at the festival?
I think it was like 30.
30?
Yeah.
That's a good number for people to be able to interact and know each other's names by the end.
Yeah, and I met a bunch of new comics. There were comics that I've already done festivals with, comics that I've met just, doing shows, not even like necessarily at a festival. So it was fun. It was a nice festival. The shows were great. Pretty much every show was sold out. The audiences were like ready to go. Like it was a good festival. I recommend Boulder Comedy Festival.
Heck yeah. Thank you. We should have like a list of recommended. Boulder right now is sitting at the top.
Yeah.
We haven't
As I
mentioned
sit here wearing a Des Moines Comedy Festival t-shirt, which I also recommend.
Des Moines Festival. And you gave yourself a couple extra days, right?
No, I went on the day that my show, my first spot was, and then I came home Sunday, which was the day after my last spot happened. And my flight Sunday was like a little bit later, so I didn't have to like rush or anything like that.
Sweet.
Yeah, and you had some shows too in our little hiatus here.
Yeah, I did. It begins. There's a nice little town that begins with a P, and I cannot think of it, but I did that one. Very good. It's about 4 hours away.
Petoskey.
It's not Portland. Is it Portsmouth?
Is it? It's a Michigan.
Yeah, it's
town?
a Michigan town on the West Coast. But it is about, it was a 4-hour drive. And so I was like, I'm so nervous about deer. So I was like, that helps keep me awake at night. It's just worrying about that.
What keeps you up at night? I just like to think that whether you're on the road or not, deer keep you. The thought of deer existing just keeps you up at night.
And you think I would have been able to recognize it.
I think that's your brain trying to like block it out, like you're in like self-defense mode, like you've disassociated, so you're like, oh, that's a moose back there. It has to be a moose so I can do this podcast.
Just like gripping the arm of the couch the whole time. And then I had Dr. Grins, and I featured in Garrett Elzinga is their house MC, was fantastic and really patient with me. And then Guy Branum, who murdered every night.
Yeah.
Like his joke writing along with his crowd work is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And
he's someone who like just has a very defined voice. And because of that, it just makes it like very easy for him, because he can just, people will laugh at anything that he says.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even have to be a joke. It's just because of how distinct his voice is, he can just say something and it's funny, He
was so kind off stage and was so inquisitive and like made all of us feel like we were being like genuinely listened to, which is wild, especially from someone at his level. To just be that kind and sincere. Yeah. And Santiago was like a huge fan of his, so that's why he came out. He loves me, but it wasn't for me. It was for Guy, and I am pretty sure Santiago came a bit, because Guy, like after the last show, he was walking past us and he like, just patted gently like Santiago's shoulder, like yay, as a yay, we camaraderie, we did it. And Santiago was like, Did you see that? He touched my shoulder.
That's so funny.
Yeah, he was so happy. So ecstatic. And I wish there was like a way for me to let him know that meant so much to him. Like the only other time I've seen that look in someone's eye was when my friend from college got to shake Hanson's hand. Like, and was like, Did you see that? We touched. And the whole weekend is fantastic. Like the whole Grin staff, Alex, the manager, their handling of like people who have partaken in a lot of beverages
and some spirits.
Yes, they escort them out so subtly. So like if there was something going on, I never realized it on stage. And chef's kiss. Like I've never had that happen so smoothly and seamlessly before. The second night after the shows, I was walking with some friends of ours, like Jackie Marpa, Abby Lumke, and then Jackie's sister. And this gentleman on the street, we're like a block from the club, and he approaches us and just starts going off on us. And it's like, if a man tells you to smile, you need to say you need to say thank you. And if you don't say thank you, you don't know what that man's been going through. He could beat your ass. He's like, I could beat your ass. And he kept on telling us he was going to rob us. And he kept on telling us that he could beat us if we were not nice to him back. And I am like staring at Santiago across the street, trying to will him to come back. And Santiago's just on his phone.
Santiago's just playing like Candy Crush, just trying to beat his high score. You guys are like setting flares off in the sky. Santiago's like playing Solitaire Clash. He's like made like $3. He's like, I'm on a roll.
The guy crosses the street to where Santiago is standing, and then Jackie, Abby, are like, we can go over there with you. I was like, no, you guys, this is the opposite direction you need to go. I'll go and handle it myself. So I went over, and he had asked Santiago, how are you doing? And Santiago's like, I'm decent. And he's like, good. I would have had to beat you if you had a different answer. And then he sees me, and he's like, you think your girl can save you? And then we're walking away, and he I forgot what he said. But it was something involving like, you better be nice next time I see you, or else you better have a gun and know how to use it. Like, it was pretty intense, like his conversation.
I think you guys came across either like a serial killer or someone who is on Reddit way too much. Or both. Who knows?
Yeah. And you could smell the vodka on this guy. Yeah. So I know that he was like looking around town for a fight. And I'm like, I wonder if he got it that night.
I'm sure he did. I'm positive he did. That's the easiest thing you can find in a city. Doesn't matter what city. A fight is abundant. That's why they're free.
So that was an experience.
That's very funny. Also very crazy.
Yeah. It definitely made that night super memorable.
Was that the first night or the second night?
The second night.
Second night. So like, it was only 2 nights, right? It was
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you still have to come back on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like Santiago was afraid to walk around during the day the next day. I was like, it's fine. Like the city isn't like this. Like,
yeah, no, that guy's only around at night.
Yeah.
Like 100%. He's passed out somewhere during the day.
But it was nice. Like the shows were all fantastic. They were all, the audience members were all awesome. And although the audience members were all phenomenal, they were so different from each other. So we all had to adapt our sets. Like, yeah, all three of us had different, we each had different sets.
Yeah. Grins is really good. Like their audiences are usually like really good. Mm-hmm. One of the weeks that we were off, I think I went and did guest sets there. Actually, I think it was the last time we recorded. Yeah. That night, I think I had guest sets there. I was doing guest sets for Shane Torres, and like the crowds were great. Like I mean, it was like it was very easy. you know, they were just like laughing at like setups. Like it was like great.
Yeah, they're so awesome.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody accost me on the street though. So
next time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Well, maybe I'll get the full Grand Rapids experience next time. You know.
And now you know to respond decent if you were asked how you're doing today.
Yeah. If I'm told to smile. Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then I had a different show where this gentleman just kept on trying to buy me a drink the whole time, and I was like, oh, like sorry, can't, like, showing the ring. And then he was like just very persistent, and then was trying to come up to me after, and I was just zigzagging around the showroom trying to avoid him. It's weird because I it's been a long time since I've had to deal with that at a show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wish people would buy me a drink after shows. They usually just want to like corner me and like use the N-word at me or something. I mean, not at me, but like in a conversation. Like this has happened multiple times. Like somebody comes and talks to me after the show about my set. They're like, "Oh, you were very funny," blah 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 blah, and then we're like in a conversation that seems like pretty innocuous and safe, and then out of nowhere, boom, N-word. I'm like, what made you so comfortable that you thought that was cool?
Right? They're like, I'm just
because I want to change that about my personality.
Did they have the same topic they were talking about beforehand?
No,
like,
it's like completely. It's like a topic that if I was sitting there thinking the N-word is not going to come up in this kind, that would be very reasonable for me to think.
Yeah.
And then just out of nowhere, they somehow crowbar it in. And I'm just like, what is happening?
Maybe you missed like a code, or maybe racists have like if we say this word, this initial word.
Yeah. I'm activating them somehow.
Yeah.
Like one of my bits has their activation word. It's like Zoolander, but for racism. Instead of that relax, it's like a Leonard Skinner song or something.
Did you schedule your appointment?
Wait, which one?
You're supposed to get tat done, Alex.
Like which one though? I'm supposed
your
to
heart.
have many. No, my heart. No, that wasn't it, because I did that a long time ago. Mm. It was either my knees, the mole on my arm, or dentist. It was one of those three. And to all of which I will say no.
Alex. Oh, you're killing me. Alex.
I'm killing me. Literally. No, I need to do that. The most pressing one, in my opinion, is the mole, because my doctor said that it is not anything serious, but that was like a couple years ago, and I feel like it's kind of gotten a little bit bigger, so I probably need to go get that checked out.
Yeah, 100%. Even if it's like pre-cancer, at least they can pop it off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's my life. I might be dying. As appropriate by the title of this podcast. I'm going to start texting
you like a medical office. Have you scheduled your appointment yet?
Yeah, I don't know. So what's been going on in your life outside of comedy? Because, you know, we're both whole ass people that do things.
My ear saga continues.
Your ear saga continues.
Yeah.
So. That was the other thing. My ear. Remember, like I was saying, I think maybe I have an ear infection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I did get that checked out, and my doctor like did the stethoscope or whatever. Not the stethoscope, but you know what I mean, the little ear thing to look in there. And apparently there was like a hair in my ear that wasn't one of my hairs. There's just like a loose hair in my ear.
It got in there.
Yeah, it was way in, and so like the only way they could deal with it was to like flush it out, like they do the wax flush.
Mm-hmm.
They did that, but they put so much water in my so there were like a couple things going on. So they were trying to flush it out. They used so much water, but then the sink in the room that I was in the water could not warm up, so they had to do it with cold water.
Oh,
and so they're just like squeezing that little bulb thing and not easy. Like they're not just like letting it trickle in. They're like like, and I mean it was like maybe I don't know like a large Smart bottle and a half worth of water that they like shot into my ear, and I literally was about to pass out. Like I had to stop them and say, "Hey, I need a second," because I was literally about to like black out. Like,
did they
I
put
felt
the
myself
little
fading.
paper?
Yeah. I felt myself starting to kind of just like nod out, and I was like, "All right, we gotta stop."
You're like getting waterboarded.
My ear definitely. But yeah, sorry. That was.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
So was it the pressure, like the constant pressure against your eardrum that was like causing you to
So I don't think it was on my eardrum. I think it was just like in the canal, and I think it was just like poking, and that's because like I was saying,
or the water itself.
Oh, what was making me pass out? I think it was the water itself. I think if it was warmer water, it wouldn't have been an issue. I think because it was just so cold, it was kind of like kind of hurting.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it was like a very dull kind of pain,
but constant.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a very sensitive area.
Yeah, and it was like literally about 5 minutes because like when they squeeze the thing, it doesn't shoot that much water in. It just shoots a little bit of water in, but it goes in hard.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you cut like two large Smart water bottles in half, every squeeze is only like getting like a shot's worth of water in your ear. So they're like, it's like 20 squeezes to like empty the little bulb thing that they had. And it was just like squeeze. I mean, and like for I don't know, like 2 or 3 minutes at least. And like I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad that the ones I've been going to have been using the vacuum now instead of that, because that's not a fun time.
Yeah, but I cut you off. You were going to talk about.
Oh yeah. So I had the 2 ear infections in the same year, plus the fungal infection that was treated like for 2 weeks. And then I went in and the doctor, she was like, so it looks a lot better, except you don't have an eardrum anymore. And I was
you have an ear bongo now.
I was like,
it's very tropical in your ear now.
It's just that little hole, right, that we discussed. Yeah. She's like, no, it is 70% gone. So I have a meeting with a surgeon in 2 days, and it took me 3 weeks to get in there. And I've been dodging sicknesses because it's weird how, like, I'm not supposed to fly without an eardrum. I'm not supposed to go into water at all. I still have to do the Vaseline cotton ball every time I shower.
Oh
wow! And that's why I got my hair cut short. Is because I was like, I can't take it anymore.
So what are they gonna do with this? Are they gonna replace it?
Okay. Is as long as I am eligible for the surgery, they will take a piece of skin from behind the ear and then
put it over.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's weird if they can't do that because, like, I mean, it's just a piece of skin, right? They should be able to just like put another piece of skin over it. I mean, unless there's like weird nerve endings in it or something like that.
Yeah, that is part of the risk of the procedure, is that you might like paralyze half your face. um they could mess up nerves in the tongue, so things taste differently.
That's so funny.
We'll
fix your ear, but we're gonna screw your face up.
Yeah. And I have to sneeze open mouth, both like full on messy sneeze, and I can't blow my nose, which is why I've been avoiding sickness, because like how much longer is that going to be extended if I can't just like get the gunk out?
We'll just like suck it in and spit it out.
I need to get one of the bulbs. Like I told Santiago that I wanted to also get those things that parents get where they like stick it up their kid's nose and they can suck it out. There's like this thing for boogers for babies, and you like stick it in the baby's nose, and you like you put the other end in your mouth and you suck the boogers out. And I'd be like, if you loved me, you would. Or like it'd be, I don't know, would it be weirder if I did it on myself? Like
you're just sucking your own boogers out?
Like a beer hat?
It's a beer hat for the like weird kid in first grade. You just wear like a big foam hat and just sucking your boogers out of your nose. You got like, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna suck your own boogers out of your nose, you're gonna have to also have that Kool-Aid mouth, you know?
Yeah, with a little oh, I'm gonna just paint the red there.
You have to have Kool-Aid mouth, and like your fingernails have to have like the green grime underneath. Like that's the only way that works.
I'm gonna commit to the bit. And before I got my hair showered, I was like just going such a long time without showering before I got my hair short. That I didn't feel like just dealing with the hassle, and I never felt like really clean when I did it. So going so long without showering, and I was working out like every day to places started to itch. And according to Google's AI, their AI result, there is a thing called itchy butt syndrome.
It's the cousin of mud butt. It's in the family of mud butt. It's one of the butt syndromes. There's mud butt, there's itchy butt, there's slimy butt, which gets mistaken for mud butt, but it's a little different.
I tried telling Santiago about it. He's like, I don't think that's a medical term. No, it is. It is now. Itchy butt syndrome.
Itchy butt syndrome. I could just imagine going to my doctor and be like, ooh, I got bad news. You got itchy butt. You're a celebrity advocating for itchy butt syndrome. They do a We Are the World style song for itchy butt. Coca-Cola is a sponsor.
That would be perfect because they're caps.
Yeah.
When you twist them off, they are coarse enough where it's like
it'll relieve the itchy butt. You're using the Coca-Cola caps to scratch your itchy butt, and then you just put the cap back on. You're a Make-A-Wish kid. Like your wish is to like meet like Aiden Hutchinson on the Lions or something, and like you come in and like Aiden Hutchinson comes in and gives you like a big hug, and he like lifts you up, and he's like holding you on his arm, like, so what brings you in, little fella? And he's like, I have itchy butt, and he's like, oh. He just drops the kid.
Which is also a sponsorship deal for Vaseline, because you have to use a lot of Vaseline with itchy butt syndrome.
I feel like that's something that like track and field people get, you know? And then like after the Olympics, they just become like the spokesperson for Vaseline. Like, I never let itchy butt stop me from a gold medal. All thanks to Vaseline.
I use so much. I'm so glad I had it in my house, for sure. It could take 3 weeks for itchy butt to go away. And then if it doesn't, you need to go see your doctor. So fingers crossed, we're on week 2.
Oh, man. All right.
So I'll find out. Hopefully the surgery is this month.
Yeah.
Just because it'll take like 2 to 3 weeks to fully recover from it.
Yeah.
And then up to 3 months for it to like
heal and take and everything.
Yeah. You know, like that would be real inconvenient to do later in the year, because this is our slow time for comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. My my bookings are a little light. Hint, hint. If anybody's out there looking or watching this, and you know, needs someone to tell jokes to an audience at a show that you run, get in the DMs. You know, get in the DMs.
Mm-hmm. We need it. Mm-hmm. Even July of 2025, if you have some bookings, then better.
If you if we don't follow each other and your DMs go into my spam box, send nudes. I'll be very likely to check it if there's nudes in there. But I will block you if it's nudes with no dates. I will only accept nudes if you have dates for me.
Can they be written on the skin?
Sure, you can tattoo them right on your chest. As long as there's dates somewhere, whether it's in the picture or the message immediately preceding or following, we're good. But if it's just a nude, I mean, I'm going to save it, but I'm going to block you after I save it. Put it in my Google Drive.
So what have you been up to?
Not really. I don't know. Not really a lot. My friend from like my childhood friend, my oldest friend. He lives in Brooklyn now. He was in town this week, so he and I hung out a little bit. That I just kind of being around the house. I've been I finally folded all my laundry. So that mess is gone. Probably gonna try to organize these shelves that we're looking at over here in like off camera. Probably gonna try to do that tomorrow.
Those look pretty organized already.
Well, there's like a lot of like in the lower shelves that you can't see from this side. There's a lot of space. I can like condense stuff because like I often get dressed down here in the morning. So I like have all my clothes down here instead of like upstairs in like my closet and my dresser, because like I just don't want to like, you know, have to go up there and get my clothes and wake Keith up and stuff. So like I just keep all the stuff that I wear down here because it's just easier for me. But like it's on a table in that room, which is like kind of annoying, and it's been there for like years. And I'm like, I want to get rid of this. So I want to like clear up some space on the shelves so I can just put stuff on the shelves instead of the table, and then I can get rid of the table. But yeah, that's just boring old man suburban stuff. That's really what I've been up to. There was one thing that we were like talking about a while ago, like before we started recording, that kind of came back to the surface on me because of how Facebook does its like feed now. Like you don't see posts from like people you actually know anymore. It's just like posts from groups.
Yeah.
And a group that I followed a long time ago started like coming up again in my feed, and it made me think of this because like we talked about this before we even started like recording this. But it's a Facebook, it's a page, not a group, for an old zine, like a gay zine from like the early to mid 90s. Called, how do you pronounce it? Is it Chiron Rising or Chiron Rising? Like Chiron? Because it's like a thing. It's like I think it's like an astrological thing.
Oh, I would not know. I can't even say.
I've always said Chiron, or is it like Chiron Rising? Maybe I don't know. I've always said Chiron.
Let's agree to something and we'll stick to it, and then say everyone else is wrong.
Okay, we're gonna say Chiron because that's how I've been saying it because it's Chiron. So it's Chiron Rising now. Even if that's wrong, you're wrong. Not us. You're wrong.
We're right.
We're right. Always. We're always right. But yeah, it was like an old like zine from like the early 90s, mid 90s, somewhere around there. I believe the guy that started it was like in Palm Springs. And I think it started with just so basically what it is it's like a monthly like zine or newsletter or whatever where the guy would get pictures of like older gay men, and they weren't always like sexual. Sometimes like they were like fully clothed or whatever, or they're just like in a bathing suit, but a lot of times they were like nude. But even if they were nude, they weren't really like sexual. They were just like nudes, you know what I mean? And so like he would just post pictures of like maybe 2 or 3 different people, and each one would have like a section in the zine, and he would like give like some information on the person. And
would they be flaccid even though they were not sexual?
Like, yeah, they would be like flaccid. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes they would maybe like be like at
fluff them,
40% maybe. They were not. It's not that they. So I'm sure there were probably like some that were like somewhat sexual, but like most of the time it wasn't sexual. It was just like a nude photo of like an older gay man. Or like I said, they would be wearing a bathing suit or something. Like it wasn't always like completely nude, but it was always like some level of undress. And but that wasn't even really like the unique thing about it. Like, because you could get naked pictures of guys anywhere on the internet. The unique, just the writing style and the narrative of the magazine, of the zine, is I think what was so like unique and what made it so popular, because it was so just like, it was written in so just like guy next door type vernacular that it was like, it was like your grandpa was just like explaining these guys to you. And I think that is what the appeal of the zine was. And so I remember when I was just coming out, I mean, I was coming out way after, like, I think it was still going when I was just coming out, but I think it was like towards the end of its run when I was just coming out. And it was like one of the first things that I kind of discovered when I was just coming out, because I was like looking for different, like, obviously looking for porn, but like also but also just like different like sort of, gay like kind of cultural kind of things or whatever. And so that hit my radar because like I've always been into old gay men. And so like it was like, it is sort of like this early, like this early memory for me of like coming out is this zine. And it always like, and the guys, it would always either just be like their first name, or it would be like where they're from and their first name. So it would be like James, or it would be like Kansas Ken.
I love it. So would it only be when they could do alliteration with it, or
it kind of was? Well, I mean, it was always like, I I mean, it wasn't always an alliteration because, like, I mean, if they're from Louisiana but their name is Ron, then they would just be like Louisiana Ron, you know? or like Baton Rouge Ron or something, you know? Like, it would always be like, you know, it would be some combination of like just their first name or like the place that they're from and their first name. Like, it would always be kind of like that. And it started, I think, as just guys around Palm Springs, because I think the guy that ran it was from Palm Springs, California. But then, like, as it kind of got more popular, I think, like, one of two things started happening. Either guys were just sending pictures to this guy, like, on their own, and then he would do, like, a phone call with them to get some, like, information so that he could write his narrative about them. Or he would literally fly out and do the photo shoot for them. But the thing is, the pictures were always like, they were always like very low quality, like home film camera kind of quality. Like, it didn't look like he was using any kind of like special equipment, you know? Mm-hmm. It always looked like it was just like a point and shoot. Like, you load the film in and you take the film out and you take it to like, you know, CVS, and then they like develop the film for you and give you the pictures. You know? It was always like that level of quality. So not only do you have this guy who has a very like warm, grandfatherly sort of like writing style, but you also have these like home like family album quality pictures. So it literally was like you were looking at a family album of your like gay naked grandfather.
Oh, I love it. It's so wholesome.
And they were like really long. It would be like, you know, it would be like, I first met, you know, Montana Mike at a bar in Reno in 1983, and at the time Ron was into rodeo clowning, and, and, you know, and it would just be this really long like thing, and it would be like, you know, a couple of years later we bumped into each other again in San Francisco at Folsom Alley Street Fair. By then Ron had moved on and had began obtaining his pilot's license. He was doing short runs from LA to you know, New Mexico. It would always be like this really long, like, just like narrative on like the guy's background, like things that he's interested in, things that he's done, things that he's doing.
Did it have any sponsorships? Or was
no, there. It was never like big sponsorships, but it would be like, you know, local real estate agents in Palm Springs, or like different like kind of like, you know, crystal shops, or you know, and they would just take ads out in the back of the zine. It was very much like how the Metro Times here used to be. Obviously not as big, like there weren't like, you know, it was only like maybe about like 7 or 8 pages, but it was like very similar to how like there would be ads in the back of like the Metro Times. Like, it was like that with this zine. It would be like gay realtors, gay shops around Palm Springs, like, or like gay travel agents, like, it would be like that kind of thing.
If you want to see Louisiana Ron,
we can book that flight for you.
Are they republishing it in this group?
So no, the group, basically with the group, so somebody, I don't think it's the guy that ran the magazine doing the group. I think it's just a fan of the magazine that's doing the group. Well, it's a page, not a group. What he's doing is he's basically scanning the old episode or old issues and then just like posting them as PDFs.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, and another thing that he does is he'll take pictures of the guys that are appropriate for Facebook, and he'll post it and be like, this is, you know, Kentucky Kevin. Does anybody remember Kentucky Kevin? And then people get in the comments like, I've met Kentucky Kevin. Kentucky Kevin was a great guy. He passed away a few years ago.
Are a lot of them still alive?
A lot of them are still alive.
Yay.
I think the ones from like some of the earlier issues are kind of starting to drop now. But the ones from like the later issues, because it went all the way, I think, until like the 2000s, like the early 2000s. So like anybody from like those issues, like maybe like I'd say like 97 and later, those guys are still pretty much alive. Like, because like it was mostly the age range that you would get into the zine in. I mean, you know, there's definitely like outliers, but typically the majority of the guys in there were probably like in their early 50s, maybe. Like maybe late 40s, but like definitely like the range of like 51, 52, 53, somewhere like in there. So like if you got in like, you know, towards the end of the run, you know, I mean they're probably very old at this point, but like they're probably still alive. A lot of them probably still are.
Yeah, it's
But
wild that 1997 is almost 30 years ago.
yeah, I know, it's crazy. I hate it. But it's funny though. The other thing that I've noticed is like when I'm in like the apps like Grinder or whatever, there are guys who they're like a few years older than me at this point, um where like their profile, like the description in their profile is written very much so in the tone of a Chiron Rising like article.
Do you think they were influenced?
Oh, 100%. 100%, because their pictures are like staged.
40%?
Yeah. The pictures in their profile are like staged the way they would be in like Chiron Rising. They're like kind of the vibe of the pictures that they're putting in their profile of themselves very much so is the vibe of that zine. And like I said, that compared with like their description having the same sort of tone, they 1000% were reading that zine.
Have you ever talked with any of them about it?
No, I've never talked to anybody. There's one guy on Instagram that I follow that in his Instagram he had a link to like his one of his like profiles. It wasn't Grinder. And I just like looked at it, and he was the one that kind of like triggered it for him, because he started like a friend of his, who, you know, was a guy he was hooking up with when he was just coming out, who was an older guy when he was he was, I don't know, he tells the whole story in this series of posts. It's like 4 posts. They're all very long on Instagram, where it's like nobody's gonna read this. And basically just telling the story of how he like met the guy and whatever. He was like just coming out. He was like nervous. He didn't know anybody. You know, that guy was very nice to him. And it's like I don't like, I hate to like be cynical about it, but it's like he, like some of the pictures that he posted were of him as a young man with this guy, and I'm like, well, he was nice to you because you were hot. Like you were hot and you were young, and he was an older guy. That's why he was nice to you. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but like let's not act like I don't know why he just decided to be nice. It's like, no, it's because you were hot.
On a scale, what would you have given him?
He was probably like an 8, like 7, 8, somewhere in there.
And what do you think is the number to take people under your wing? Like,
I think that's it, like 7 or 8
and higher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I think solid 7. It's gonna really depend on like your personality as well. But if you're like 7.1 or more, then I don't think personality really matters. But if you're a solid 7, then you're gonna have to also kind of like maybe be a little funny.
Could this 7 or 8, 7.5? Could this 7.5 write very well, like in his long posts on Instagram?
Oh yeah, no, I mean he nailed the whole Chiron Rising thing. Like it was like the description in his profile was very much so in that writing style and that tone. The posts on Instagram were very much so in that writing style and that tone. And it was like 4. It was like 4 posts, like 4 different pictures. And each one kind of like covered a different phase of the guy's life, because the guy passed away, and he was like doing like a memoriam for him on his Instagram. And like the first one was when they met. The second one was after like his first relationship. The third one was like they maybe like lost touch for a little bit, but then like kind of came back together. And then the fourth one was like, the end, basically, like leading up to him passing away.
Was it like a casket shot? Or?
No. No, they were all like pictures of them at like a bar or some sort of like pride event or something like that. I mean, it's Instagram, so they're like clothed, It's not like they weren't like nudes that he was putting up. They were all like pretty like normal kind of pictures,
Yeah. I do want to be cremated, but having a float as a casket or like a casket as a float would be magnificent.
Well, you can do both. Just cremate yourself, but put the ashes in a casket.
If you put ashes in a t-shirt cannon, do you think it would fly, or do you think it would hit the person who's shooting the cannon off first?
I think it would be a little bit of both. I think like some of the ash would come back and hit the person shooting the cannon, but I think a lot of it would just like projectile out.
When did the creator pass away?
Of the zine, I don't know if the creator passed away. I think he just stopped doing it. But I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know much about the person who like started it. I've never really like looked into who they were or anything.
What?
Like that. Yeah, I'm weird like that. Like I get into these things, but I like don't think to see like who. I don't know. It's weird. Like when something like that happens, I think it's maybe just because like. I think it's just maybe because of how early I was on the internet, and like in those early days, no one like attributed stuff to themselves. They just like put it on the internet and they're just like, yeah, this is just for everybody, And so when I see something like that now, because of those very early days, I think I'm just like, oh, well, this is just a thing that exists. and I don't think to be like, who did this? Like who started this, which I found this YouTube channel, which I kind of like, the channel is called Wang. It's a guy, his name is Justin Wang, and he's kind of like the internet historian. So he kind of looks into a lot of these things and like does like deep dives into all of them and like brings up like how they started, why they continued, how they ended, like all the weird stories behind it. It's like a really good channel, but I think that's why I like that channel, because he covers a lot of the things that were on my radar at the time, but I just never was like, oh, somebody made this. And so like he covers like who made it, and I think that's why like I like that channel, because there's so many things on the internet like growing up as a kid that I was never like, oh, well, who did this? Like who made this?
Yeah. Did you ever hamsterdance.com?
No, I never did hamster dance.
It was just, are you aware of it?
No.
Oh, it was hamsterdance.com, and it was just.
Was it like Lemon Party?
Maybe it had rows and rows of hamsters just dancing.
Oh no, it wasn't like Lemon Party.
And the background song was
no, I'm not aware of hamster dance.
I don't know if it's still in existence. But...
I was always into like the gross shit. I was like on the gross side of the internet.
What's included in the gross stuff?
So like there was a site that I used to go to all the time. I think it still exists, but it's not like, I think it's literally just like a domain and a landing page. I don't think it really has anything on it anymore, but it was called Consumption Junction. And they just posted like, just like weirdly gross stuff to like gore, and I did try to avoid the gore. Like, I mean, I watched some of it, but like a lot of it, I was kind of just like, yeah, this is too much. I don't want to see that. But like the kind of like lighter hearted stuff on there. I mean, if you think about it now, like if I watched it now, I would be like, oh, this is kind of cringy. But like as like a, 14-year-old kid, seeing like somebody shit their pants and then rub it on their friend, it's like, ooh,
that checks out for 14-year-olds.
Yeah. You know, if I watched that now, I'd be like, okay, this is fucking stupid. What am I doing?
No, the wholesome things, the little things.
Yeah,
like
the wholesome
that.
things, like shitting on your friends. You know?
Do they have the original videos still on there?
No, like the whole site, it's literally just like, I think I tried to go to it like I was just like being nostalgic a couple years ago, and I was like, I wonder if that site still exists. And I went to it, and it's still there, but there's nothing on it. It's like just a page now, you know.
Do you think anybody who had videos on there were like, please take this down?
I'm sure they were. But yeah, I mean, there were like other sites like that were bigger that I just never really got into, like, you know, E-Bombs World and stuff like that. Like, that was probably like the big one. That was the one that like everybody was going to. But I've always been like weird about popular shit. Like, even as a kid, I kind of just like rejected like popular stuff and would always go with like the smaller thing. So like, I think that's maybe why I never like got into like E-Bombs World and all that stuff. I was just like, everybody's going there. I don't want to go there.
I've heard the name E-Bombs World, but I don't think I've ever been.
Yeah, I mean, it was I think, honestly, I rarely used it, so I don't really know that much about it, but I think it was just like a message board where people were like posting the kind of stuff that would be on Consumption Junction. Consumption Junction wasn't a message board, though. It was just a website. Someone was physically adding these videos like manually, and then creating links to the videos on this website like on a daily basis.
So these were curated.
They were curated for sure. Yeah, and that was like, honestly, Consumption Junction, that was like the first time that I was kind of like exposed to like guys like doing kind of like gay stuff to each other that weren't like gay, like, you know, like friends like kind of ironically being gay with one another. That you right that website was like the first time I was exposed to something like that. Like, before that, like, I would, you know, like, sincerely, I never me and my friends never did stuff like that. Like, we were all like I was just too like internally homophobic. They were just too externally homophobic. We were just like, we didn't even like flirt with that kind of world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, it was just like we just didn't, that website was like my first like introduction to something like that, where like friends were like grabbing each other's like nuts or something.
And you were 14 when you first started, or
somewhere around there? I was like probably like 13, 14, something like that. So that would be like, what, like, I don't know, like somewhere in the early 90s.
Yay. Look at that website. Consumption Junction, helping young Alex.
Yeah, you can see guys being gay with each other and beheadings, you know. It's a one-stop shop. You know?
They had it all.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah.
So where can people find the video of this podcast?
Well, when the video goes up, I'll probably have put it on both Spotify and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'll definitely be on YouTube, but I think we'll be able to put it on Spotify too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the settings and stuff, there was a place to upload video, like in like the Spotify podcast app or whatever, or the dashboard. But if that's like something we have to pay for, then the video will be on YouTube, and then the audio, Spotify will be like the primary place that we put it, but it'll like push out to everything, you know, Apple, Google, like it'll be everywhere.
Sweet.
Yeah. So it'll be audio version and video version. If you want to watch us sit on this couch and talk, then you can go to YouTube. If you just want to listen to us sit on this couch and talk, then you can do that wherever you want.
Mm-hmm. And we're gonna try to do these weekly.
We're gonna try. No promises.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it. Do you have any like shows coming up that will probably miss because this isn't going to be posted right away.
So I will be at Commonwealth Sanctuary in Cincinnati. Or no, I keep on saying Cincinnati. It's Commonwealth Sanctuary. It's in Dayton, Kentucky. And that will be August 9th. And then the weekend after that, the weekend of August 16th and 17th, I will be in Muskegon for Laughter on the Lakeshore.
Nice.
How about you?
I think it would be safe to, given when this is probably going to come out, it would be safe to say I will be at the Motor City Comedy Festival September, I think it's 19th through the 22nd.
Woo!
I think I specifically will be doing spots on the 19th and the 22nd.
Heck yeah.
19th, I believe I'm at the Independent Comedy Club, and the 22nd, I think I'm at Detroit House of Comedy.
Boom. Heck yeah.
Yep.
So come hang out in the Motor City, support Alex, rock on at the Indie and Detroit House of Comedy.
And Muskegon as well.
Yay. Thank you for listening, and we are going to have a blast next time we make one of these.
Dying.